Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and today I'm going to talk about 5 guitar players I hate. And I mean dislike. But the number one I'm going to start with is Pete Townshend. I never got The Who. I never loved his guitar playing. Sure, there's some iconic moments, some great Who songs that, if you're my age, you heard on the radio all the time. So, you know, I can't say I would turn the radio off if I heard a great song back then for sure, but I just never got him as a guitar player. Maybe as a composer, I might see that, I guess, just to some degree, but as a guitar player, it was always just didn't mean anything to me. And even when people try to convince me of these great uses of cool inversions of chords and all of that, yeah, they never went anywhere to me. They weren't very interesting. So I'm going to start out with Pete Townshend. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, and we'll kind of go from there. Number two is Jerry Garcia, who I never got this whole kind of bluegrass, kind of rock and other influences that he had. And I have heard him at moments be an incredible player using cool kind of note choices, cool chordal stuff, and in general being a great musician that plays guitar searching for new kind of tones and ideas. And I definitely love the kind of the improvisational sense that he had and that the Grateful Dead had. But when I listen to it, when the rubber meets the road kind of thing, it just means, or it always just seemed like nonsense to me. It just didn't make sense to me or go anywhere. And when music kind of pulls you in for whatever reason, sometimes it's not describable. You know that as well, but it's also on the other side of it when you're repulsed by it. Kind of, you know that as quick as well. So the next one is Buddy Guy. I guess I'm just not much of a blues guitar player guy. I mean, I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan, I saw Albert King, I've seen BB King, all the kind of the kind of cornerstone blues players that I can think of. Um, is there exceptions? Absolutely. I mean, do you consider Robin Trower a blues guitar player? Love him. Love Hendrix. Uh, I'm trying to think of modern players, but it just is a style that has never resonated with me. And that's why, with Buddy Guy, as much loved as he is, I don't wish him any harm or anything like that. I just never got it. That extreme bending that is almost like a microtonal approach to guitar in certain ways, from my standpoint, I could just never, ever get into it. And, there are certain elements of other players that I could kind of buy into, Robert Cray, stuff like that. But I guess the blues kind of things was never my forte. And so I put Buddy Guy in there just because the limited amount I've heard him, I just never got it. So the next one is George Harrison. And again, I'm not a huge Beatles fan. Do I respect them as composers? 100%. They are some of the most natural players that went on to create some of the most amazing music of our time. And I include Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and all sorts of those kind of bands from the late 60s, maybe early 70s in that group as well. So I am always impressed by the best of the Beatles. But George Harrison, lauded as a great guitar player a lot of times, I guess I don't hear it. So, that's my opinion on George Harrison. The next one is Frank Marino, who I've done actually some reactions to his stuff on this channel, and I found them okay. I didn't dislike them, but I've gone through his whole collection of records, which is actually pretty hard to find. They're not on Spotify like they might have been before or whatever, but there's not a huge amount of recorded material there. So you have to go to YouTube or find an actual record. And, Zakk Wylde has been singing the praises of him forever. And I've always checked it out whenever that kind of feeling comes. I'll read a interview with Zach or an old interview, and he mentions Frank. I'll go back and check it out again. And I found a few gems, and I've done them on the channel. But for the most part, I don't get it. I guess he's a great player in a lot of ways. I can tell he's good at what he does, but it just not does not resonate with me. So I would love to hear what other people say as far as whether they agree with me or disagree. And I'd love to see what other top 5 players are not your favorite. So there you go. I am Brian. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon.